When you send a message, stream a video, or load a website, it feels wireless, invisible, instant. But almost all of the world's internet traffic does not travel through satellites. It travels through cables. Thin strands of glass, laid across the ocean floor. And those cables quietly control the modern world. Welcome to Rook. Today, we uncover the hidden infrastructure that powers the global internet. The vast network of undersea cables that carry more than 95% of international data. Because the digital age doesn't float in the clouds. It runs along the seabed. There are more than 500 active submarine cables stretching across the oceans today. Together, they span over 1 million kilometers. These cables connect continents, linking financial centers, governments, businesses, and billions of individuals in real time. Inside each cable are bundles of fiber-optic strands, thinner than a human hair. Data travels through them as pulses of light. Not electricity. Light. And at nearly the speed of light itself. From New York to London. From Tokyo to Singapore. From Sao Paulo to Lisbon. Every email, financial transaction, and video call crosses these physical pathways. The internet is not abstract. It is tangible, and surprisingly fragile. Many people assume satellites power global connectivity. In reality, satellites carry only a small fraction of global data traffic. Why? Because undersea cables are faster, cheaper, and capable of carrying vastly more data. Satellites are essential for remote regions and backup connectivity. But when it comes to high-capacity global traffic, financial trades, cloud computing, streaming platforms, cables dominate. The global economy depends on milliseconds. And fiber-optic cables provide that speed, which makes them critical infrastructure. But here's the question few people ask. If the world runs on these cables, who controls them? And what happens if they are cut? Decades ago, undersea cables were largely financed and operated by telecommunications companies. Today, the landscape has shifted. Major technology firms such as Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon have invested heavily in submarine cable infrastructure. In some cases, they fully own the cables. Why? Because control over data pathways means control over speed, security, and reliability. It reduces dependence on third parties. And in a competitive digital economy, that control matters. At the same time, governments monitor and regulate cable landings on their shores. This creates a layered system of private ownership and national oversight. The internet may feel decentralized, but its infrastructure is concentrated. Undersea cables do not spread evenly across the globe. They cluster in specific landing points and narrow maritime corridors. One of the most important choke points is near the Suez Canal, where multiple cables pass between Europe and Asia. Other critical routes run through the South China Sea and across the Atlantic Ocean. These bottlenecks create vulnerability, a natural disaster, a ship's anchor dragging across the seabed, or intentional sabotage. Any of these can disrupt connectivity. In fact, cable cuts happen several times a year, usually accidental. Most are repaired quickly. But the possibility of deliberate disruption has raised security concerns. Because in a world dependent on real-time data, even short interruptions can have cascading effects. As global tensions rise, undersea cables have gained strategic attention. Governments recognize that digital infrastructure is as important as ports, pipelines, and power grids. Some countries have increased naval patrols around key cable routes. Others have restricted foreign firms from participating in cable projects due to security concerns. The competition extends to new cable routes. When companies propose new transoceanic cables, geopolitical considerations often influence approval. Which countries will host landing stations? Who can access the data? Who maintains the infrastructure? Control over cables does not mean control over content, but it does mean influence over connectivity. And connectivity is power. The global internet is designed with redundancy. Multiple cables connect major regions. Traffic can be rerouted, but redundancy is not immunity. If several cables were disrupted simultaneously, whether by accident or design, the consequences could include slower internet speeds, financial transaction delays, disrupted communications, economic instability. Financial markets rely on ultra-fast cross-border data transmission. Cloud services depend on seamless connectivity. Governments rely on secure digital communication. The system is resilient, but it is not invulnerable. We often speak of the cloud as if data floats freely above us, but in reality, it is grounded in physical infrastructure, data centers, server farms, power grids, and cables beneath the ocean floor. The digital economy may seem intangible, but it rests on physical systems that can be mapped, protected, and potentially disrupted. Understanding this changes how we think about cybersecurity and national security. Because the backbone of the internet is not virtual, it is physical, and therefore, strategic. The next time you send a message across the world, consider the journey it takes. Down through local networks, across fiber lines, into a cable stretching thousands of kilometers across the ocean floor. Invisible to most, essential to all. The secret cables that control the global internet do not make headlines, but they quietly shape commerce, diplomacy, defense, and daily life. In the 21st century, power is not only measured in territory or weapons, it is measured in connectivity. Because the systems that appear invisible are often the ones that matter most. If you found this analysis valuable, consider subscribing. The infrastructure of power rarely announces itself, but it defines the world we live in.